Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Simon Momber at Broadcom. I'd like to welcome you all today to our very special webinar. We have two very important guests with us today. Pankaj Gupta, he's our Senior Director and Private Cloud Solutions at VMware by Broadcom, and Sam Barlien, and he's the Head of Ecosystem at Platform Engineering. The discussion today, State of Platform Engineering 2025. So a very important discussion. So we're really glad you're here with us today. We're going to give folks, we've got a lot of people registered to attend, so we're going to give folks just another minute or two to join before we kick things off. Whilst we're waiting for folks to come on, I'd like to just do a few introductions. So, Bakaj, tell us a little bit about your role at Broadcom.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm Senior Director of Private Cloud Solutions at Broadcom and pretty excited about today's webinar and sharing the latest on that what's happening in the world of platform engineering. And I have been in platform engineering for almost a decade for that. So it's my privilege and honor to invite Mr. Sam to our webinar.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pankaj. I'm very excited and very happy to be here. I like having the blue VMware background behind me. I think it's quite cool. So as you can see, I'm the head of ecosystem engineering. Now, platform engineering is the world's largest platform engineering focused community of people who intersect with our content at any time, whether that's blogs, webinars, and internationally. Now, I to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I do. I manage all our research, our community. I run our community ambassador program. I talk at all of our events. I organize our roundtables. Basically, I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of platform engineers every year, understand what their problems are, what they're struggling with, what their challenges are, and then I condense it into research. And this State of Platform Engineering report that we're going to talk about today is a good example of one of our biggest researches in that area.
And Sam, can you give us a little bit a quick overview that what platform engineering for some of our members? A quick recap because it's important that we just get the fundamentals right first. That what platform engineering is.
A very important place to start because I think there's a good chance that if we asked 10 people here what's platform engineering, we'd get 11 answers. So I'll really simplify down fundamentally the idea of platform engineering is it's the application of product management principles to kind of DevOps or SRE or general engineering. So it's really the philosophy of building this internal platform. So that's an engineering side of things. But the more fundamental layer is how you treat that platform internally. And what we really, promote and what I think the key idea of platform engineering is treating it like a product. So you're thinking of your internal platform like it's a SaaS product, as if you are at your platform team as a startup, and the users of that platform, your colleagues, your developers, those are your customers. So how are you interacting with those customers? Are you doing user research? Are you interviewing them? Are you giving them surveys? Have you named your platform? So really the easiest way to think about platform engineering is just the introduction of product management principles to a lot of the engineering work that we do.
And that's exactly it is that the platform engineering's the primary goal is to increase the efficiency of their developers. Developers are their number one customers and the primary customer. How to remove the friction for them to build, develop, post, or deploy any application for that. And application engineering has actually reached a very critical juncture. That discipline evolved from a very emerging trend to becoming a more like an enterprise operating system. So this is fundamentally reshaping how the organization deliver the applications. And as Sam said before in previous discussion, that platform engineering is actually eating the world, the absorbing those traditional silos like operations, observability, security, data, maybe FinOps in the future into a very unified paradigm for that. So we are very excited as a Broadcom to being a exclusive sponsor for the State of Platform Engineering report. 2025. It just came out in late December. And there are a lot of good richness, insights about the platform engineering and how it can help you to evolve your role more effectively, as well as driving the transformation in your organization by taking some of the principles of platform engineering and some of the insights which we have. So, Sam, walk us the insights.
Yeah, I'll let you take it away, Sam, to the next step. And I just want to remind the audience we are recording. This will go out to you. You'll get a copy of the recording. And we go into the Q&A and submit your questions. We can answer your questions live here. So I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. So what am I and Pankaj actually going to be talking about today? And if you hear some light barking in the background, I have a 6-month-old puppy, so forgive me for that. We're going to be talking about what actually is the state of platform engineering, this report that we do, this idea that Pankaj just introduced, platform engineering is eating the world. Great slogan. What does it actually mean? We're going to talk a little bit about industry maturity, what that means. And then I'm going to go through this kind of democratization of platform engineering and some really, I think, 5 fundamental data points that I think everyone here should think about. So the first place to start is what actually is this report that we're talking about. So we interviewed about 518 professionals globally. So these were people who had the title platform engineer, DevOps, SRE, architect, consultant, technical leader, every manner of title you can think of. I think, as we all know, anyone who works in our industry, titles are a little bit of a useless metric. Often, you can talk to an SRE who's actually doing platform engineering work, or you could talk to a platform engineer who's actually doing, DevOps. So titles are not often the best approach. But what we did across all of these interviews and these surveys that we did was we asked them about their AI usage. We asked them about particular challenges that they're facing, their architecture, their organizational attitudes, expectations for the future. And as we go through, we'll see some examples of some of the questions that we asked. And really the goal was to understand what is the current state of the platform engineering industry. So what is the level of maturity across the board? What are the fears? Who is becoming a platform engineer? What are platform engineers becoming across both the discipline, but then also, what is the industry doing itself? And I kind of want to just start here for a moment, Pankaj, to ask you, because we've got this great quote here from you that I love, but I kind of want to ask a bit about why is platform engineering so relevant for Broadcom and for the VMware community?
I think most of our audience know that we are an infrastructure company, enable our customers to build a private cloud. And the whole objective of private cloud is to deliver a cloud-like operating system to your developers or the whole organization. And that's what the VCF really does, whether it's a Kubernetes-based applications or whether it's a VM-based application or whether it's a private AI. That today, if you look at some of the recent survey done by the Google through their DORA report, 90% of companies have built or using internet development platform, and they have many choices. They can do in public cloud. They can also do in a private cloud. And when they want to do it in a private cloud or on-prem, VCF is one of the great choices for that, and it offers all the capabilities which typically a platform engineer really looks forward for that. So platform engineering is in the mainstream, and VCF could be one of the choices for that. You will also see that from the results from Sam's study that customers are using variety of the platform for their needs for that, and VCF could be one of them. So that's the reason we were so excited about to partner with the platformengineering.org to understand the market dynamics, where it's going, and how we can help our customers to build a better internal development platforms to offer efficiency and agility, which your developers really looking forward.
Yeah, super interesting. Thank you. I know I didn't warn you that I was gonna I was gonna grab you now, but I
But
like to
before we
keep
start,
us
I
keep
think
us
I
on
would
our
also
toes.
like to say that we will hear a lot about technology part today. But if you are a CIO or if you are a leader or if you are talking to your leaders, that platform engineering is not about technology. It is about the cultural shift which organizations are driving, which sounds like a small statement, but it's huge, huge, huge. It is a cultural shift for many, many organizations, and even for the audience what we have today in this webinar. Back to you, Sam.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. So talking a little bit for briefly about the community and kind of who we are and how I have access to all this information. So we have around 260 to 270,000 people who interact with our content. That's across our newsletter, Platform Weekly. It's the largest platform engineering newsletter in the world. And we, of course, have events, we have meetups, we have conferences, we have blogs, we have YouTube, videos, webinars. So there's an absolutely massive amount of content that people are consuming, which is cool in and of itself. But what's more important there is the data that comes from that, is the sense of what are the things that people in the platform engineering space are actually interested in? What are they struggling with? What do they really want to get a sense of? So, then using that data to start designing, okay, what are the things that we need to ask? What are the things we need to figure out? And what are the things we need to deliver on? And I think a really interesting data point around the growth of this chart, I'll get into in just a moment, but you'll see there's almost a direct correlation over time between the growth of the community and the growth of the industry. So as we get, 10,000 more people reading articles on platform engineering, so too do we see a corresponding increase in the number of people on LinkedIn changing their title to platform engineer. Though that's not always a perfect measure, that is something that we see happening on quite a massive scale. So let's zoom in on this idea of platform engineering is eating the world and AI. When you talked about platform engineering, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, terrifying, it's 2026 already. But when you talked about platform engineering in 2022 and 2023, you were always talking about DevX. When Gartner put platform engineering on the hype cycle in 2022, it was entirely about DevX. They only talked about DevX, developer experience, how platform engineering supports developer experience, and through that, maybe productivity. And so platform engineering was really seen as a DevX domain. Then around 2023, infrastructure started to be, you started hearing about the infrastructure platform engineer. But for whether you were talking about either of those two topics, the persona that the platform engineer was serving was always the application developer. It was just app dev. They were basically building app dev platforms. So lots of value there, interesting. But that was something that has absolutely massively changed over the last few years. You see my really beautiful design here, but I feel there's no better way to kind of represent to you the scope at which platform engineering has grown. Because if I go back to that original idea or that original definition I gave you of platform engineering, a really simplified form of just it's the application of product management principles and best practices to the way that we operate in engineering. You build a platform that serves a customer, and you treat now it's an internal customer, and you treat that internal customer, like you would any other customer if they were externally. That means all the things that come with that. It means internal marketing. It means internal sales. You see so much kind of marketing and sales language within platform engineering teams. I know those are dirty words for all of us, but you start to think about, okay, this is an internal product. What does that mean? And when you think about it in that way, there's no reason why developers need to be the only customer for your platform. You can immediately see how in data this might work. You could be building a data platform run by data platform engineers. Now, the users of that platform, the data scientists in your organization, well, they're the customer. And you think about how do you market to them? How do you get them on board? How do you build golden paths for their workflows? How do you build the things that are useful for them? This exact principle and process is the same whether you're building a platform for application developers or whether you're building a platform for data scientists, whether you're building an observability platform, or like Pankaj said, whether you're building, FinOps into the platform or security. These are all domains that fit perfectly within the platform engineering landscape. Because when you think about what the core principle is, there's no reason why so many of those domains wouldn't need to be included within it. And if I give kind of like a specific example, I know not everyone on this call is very Kubernetes, but to give a Kubernetes example or to give an example within that realm, take something that I think many developers have dealt with and is a bit annoying, container scanning, checking for CVEs, very common problem. You do a scan, bunch of CVEs get sent over to someone. Someone else has to either remediate them or go back and say, actually, these are CVEs that don't matter. Well, the idea of the past would be great. We have the developer scanning exactly like I just said. They scan, it gets sent over now to an operations person who deals with it. That operation person deals with it, bounces it back. Kind of a clunky process. Well, when you think about the platform engineering idea, why couldn't you involve this in the platform? Why couldn't you integrate the container scanning directly into the platform that the developer is using, have it be an automated process, and remove that toil for them? So you start to see all of these different areas within IT where the platform approach can solve so many different problems. And we're really seeing this everywhere. And AI is a really fantastic example of this. When we started to ask many of the platform teams that we were talking to, like, okay, who are the users of your platform or platforms? Developers, always, but in many cases, it was data scientists, ML engineers, ML ops engineers, data engineers, even business analysts or AI researchers. So this AI landscape has opened up a whole new paradigm of potential customers for the platform, for this internal platform. And we've been really seeing a lot of success from that. And this is only accelerating. This kind of platform engineering approach, we are seeing a lot of IT organizations think, why wouldn't we just apply everything that we do in IT? Obviously not entirely everything, but a significant amount of the stuff that is done in IT through this way of operating. Now, this is all great. It's all very exciting. It's a great sense of like what the future might be and what's happening at some of the kind of frontier organizations. But where are we actually in terms of the wider industry? And the industry is fairly immature still. So this is a big, very busy slide with lots of information. But as you heard Simon say, Simon is recording this, so you'll be able to get the recording and look through this all a little bit more. Now, the purple number here represents 2024 data, and the green number is 2025. And this is based on the CNCF, so the Cloud Native Computing Foundation's platform engineering maturity model. So they ask about investment, adoption, interfaces, operations, and measurement. And then they ask where teams are on those journeys. So is it provisional, operational, scalable, or optimizing? And you can see that in almost every case, there is improvement. In the time of time of investment, last year, only 12.2% were, in a really enabled ecosystem and getting really effective in the investment that they've got, and they're getting full commitment. Only 12.2% was. Now it's 13.1%. So a marginal increase. And we see at the same time in adoption, a marginal increase, about a 1%, a 1% improvement from 17.3 to 18.3. So these are small changes, but it does mean that the industry is moving in the right direction. But more importantly, it means we're really at the beginning of this journey. You see many of the fastest moving organizations, the Netflixes, the Zillows, the Googles, the AWSs, they are very much so bought into this model. They are very much so along a lot of this much stronger furthest right column. But the majority of the industry is nowhere near. As one area where we've seen big improvement, though, is on measurement. Measurement has always been a disaster, I think, across the board for most organizations, but particularly for platform engineers. And we'll go a little bit more into that in a moment. Now, to really understand some of this stuff and what I'm talking about, I think there's 5 really crucial takeaways to get from the report. it's 60 pages. There's lots of information in there. But I think to understand some of the stuff I've talked about just before, these are the 5 kind of takeaways that I think are worth thinking about as we go. So the first is, what is the actual budget of your platform engineering initiative? I'm sure almost everyone on this call has probably seen some hype related thing around platform engineering. They've seen some ad, or they've seen someone be like, oh, DevOps is dead, platform engineering is the whole future. And so we feel platform engineering is very pervasive, platform engineering is everywhere. But as we've just seen on the previous slide, platform engineering is not too mature yet as an industry. And we can really see that by this one. 47.4% of platform teams only have a budget of 0.0 to 1 million. That is an absolutely kind of massive sign that we still have a really long way to go in terms of industry maturity. So I'm just going to close my door for 1 second because my dog is going ballistic, but I'll be back in milliseconds.
In the meantime, I will answer one question from the audience that was that what are solutions architect and platform engineers are related, or there is a correlation? Absolutely. The typical platform engineering teams are constituted by currently the DevOps engineer, the SREs, the release managers, but they all require a very strong solution architects because you are building a platform which brings the compute, network, storage, databases, automation, observability, security, FinOps, multiple things together to create a usable single interface platform for the developers for that. So solution architects play a very, very significant role in the IDP. And what we have also seen is that typical platform teams are more application centric, or they understand applications more strongly. Traditional, the virtualized infrastructure have a much deeper understanding of network or storage or compute infrastructure, but that bridge has to be passed on and it really has to merge together. So solution architect has a very strong role for in platform engineering, and they should certainly have a seat on the table. And if you are not on the seat on the table on platform engineering, you should start this conversation because you can help tremendously to build internal development platform, being a part of platform team. Back to you, Sam.
Absolutely. I would agree 100% with that. And I think the reason why, when Pankaj's point of so much of it has still been kind of app dev focused, and that's changing, that's something I think is reflected here in this number as well. A platform initiative that has a budget of 0.1 million, 0 to 1 million is still in its kind of MVP phase. And often what that means is they're dealing with kind of the easiest greenfield app, maybe something that's very simply containerized before expanding out throughout the organization. But whenever we look at these larger ones, 100 mil plus, 50 to 100 million, 20 to 50 million, they're all using VMs. They're all using multiple sets of infrastructure. So it's definitely something to look into and be involved in for sure. Now, one other thing that I think from a platform engineering perspective has been really interesting and ties in back to what I was talking about just a moment ago. A few years ago, when we asked in one of our previous reports, does your organization have more than one internal developer platform? If someone said yes, it was often a sign of immaturity. It was a sign of kind of siloed platform teams. We would talk to a large bank, and they had 3 different platform teams in 3 different countries building 3 different platforms, and they were disconnected, and there was, it was a sign of immaturity. It's funny that this has been flipped on its head by the nature of those points I was talking about before, platform engineering eating the world. Now, we see most, 55.9% of organizations have more than one platform because they're building specialized platforms for specialized purposes. So, build an app dev platform for this specific circumstance, build a data platform for this specific circumstance, build a platform in relation to a modernization or migration campaign. So we're seeing way more the construction of kind of specialized platforms where you can take full advantage of whatever kind of specialized need you have, but while still using all the platform engineering fundamentals and best practices that come with it. Now, platform as a product is the really core idea within platform engineering. As I talked about at the beginning, platform engineering is just the application of product management principles. Now, we call that platform as a product. So platform as a product is exactly that application that I was talking about. One thing that we have been looking at over the last few years is how organizations actually drive that product mindset. If I asked for a show of hands of every single person that's here, well, how many of us actually have that much experience with product management? That's not really the type of role or the type of responsibility that many of us engineers have had to be involved in. So there was a theory for a while, a few years ago, that the way for platform engineering to succeed is because you're instilling in a group of engineers, the platform team, this product management thinking. You're going to turn your engineers all into product managers. They're all going to think about product. It's going to be amazing. Well, we saw that that was a little bit of a struggle. I think many people here can understand why that might have been a struggle. Most engineers don't want to be product people. So we asked about, okay, well, what if you had a dedicated role? What if you actually took a product manager, but you moved them internally and they only served internal customers? And that is called a platform product manager. That's a big part of what I do in my work and the roles I work with companies on. And when we look at that platform product manager role, well, last year we asked, and we got so few responses around platform product management that we didn't even show this chart because there was no point. It just wasn't a relevant data point. So you see already an absolutely massive jump in the number of teams that are using a dedicated platform product manager for this. So around 21.6 have a dedicated platform product manager, and then another 15% have a platform product manager, and they instill product mindset around all their engineers. So I think this is something that from the platform engineering kind of leadership perspective is really relevant. So if you are working on a platform team or thinking about platform engineering and you don't have any product management, like an actual dedicated product manager, it might be worth kind of putting your hand up to your boss and being like, hey, maybe we should look at this. Maybe it could really help us take some of the load off or support you in ways that you're kind of embracing this journey. Now, the next chart, which I think is really valuable for understanding platform engineering, because at the end of the day, why do we do anything if not for getting value from it? If platform engineering didn't deliver value in your organization, well, there would be no point doing it. There would be no point spending the time. And this chart really gives us a sense of where we are actually across the organization. So around 40.9%, it's either not yet measurable because they're quite early in their journey, or it took 1 to 2 years. So, about 40.9% are still in the struggle phase. But what we see quite incredibly is that 13.1% were able to prove value within just 3 months. Now, how did they do that? They probably took what we call the MVP approach. They started small. They used a kind of a simplified use case. They didn't go with something super complicated and expansive right from the beginning. They took a sample app that was representative of lots, and they really honed in with some user research. What do the developers or your customers need? And they built something that really worked for them. But we see kind of across the board, it's still around a bit of a split, but the majority of organizations are able to prove value with platform engineering within a year, and many of them within 3 to 6 months. So that is a big part of why so many organizations are embracing platform engineering at the moment and why they continue to embrace it. If it didn't prove value, no one would be doing it and no one would be using it. Now, I think the closing kind of stats to look at, which I think are really important ones, is around speaking specifically to the platform engineer and the metrics that they're looking at. So when we ask, how have the metrics changed? Whether that's DORA metrics or space, but specifically the metrics that team is measuring, how have they changed? Some admit that they've worsened, some no change. The vast majority say they've significantly improved or they've slightly improved, but 25% say, I don't know. And, that's okay if maybe they're not measuring or maybe there
I think,
is saw most platform teams are. Oh, was I freezing?
yes.
Oh, I'm very, very sorry about that. So I would just to repeat briefly what I said and apologize if I repeat something you did hear. This I don't know element is an important one to think about. And it's not necessarily a disaster that 25% don't know. As we've seen, most initiatives are still quite immature, so maybe they're just not there yet. The issue comes when we go over to the next question. Which metrics do you use to measure success? Now, no issues with this on its whole. You think, okay, DORA, unsurprising, time to market, unsurprising, space, unsurprising. 29.6% we do not measure. And you think, hang on a minute. 30% of all platform teams don't measure at all. Now, that is something that is a fundamental issue with kind of platform engineering maturity. We saw that it has improved year over year. Great. But if you're not measuring, how are you able to prove value? How are you able to secure budget? How are you able to actually show that you have succeeded in things and know that you're moving in the right direction? But I think a more dangerous part of this stat is if I just bounce back to the previous one. So we do not measure 29.6%. I don't know 24.2%. That delta is really, really, really crucial and quite dangerous because those two numbers should be the same. If you don't know, well, then if you're not measuring, then you shouldn't know. That means there's about 5% of those surveyed who are giving us an answer in a different direction based on vibes rather than actual measurement. And that's something that you always need to be really careful of when you're running an initiative. You might feel, I think things have gotten better, or you might feel, things are getting worse. And so maybe you don't measure because of that, or maybe you're not measuring and you might base things off of that. But it really is so fundamentally crucial to make sure that that measuring layer is within it. And also, if someone is reporting to you, if there's any leaders here, and someone is saying, oh, things are going great, we'll dig into, okay, what are the metrics? What are we actually measuring? Because there's a good chance that they're just operating off of vibes. So I think those are really the key takeaways that I wanted to share with you all. There's 60 pages you can go through. So really you can go look through all of that. There's on adoption, on the concept of shifting down, recommendations, specialized roles, salary data, data for individuals, a lot of interesting insight onto AI, onto this enterprise operating model. So definitely go have a look. I think there's a lot of great stuff in there indeed.
Thank you, Sam. Before we go to how VCF can be your ideal platform to build a platform or internal development platform for developers, we will answer a few questions. We have a question from Vedang that can any system administration can join this, and what will be path for system administrator? What you really need is the customer mindset to be part of the platform team. As you saw that your primary audience or primary customer is the developer. So if you want to help your developers inside your organization, you are ideal to join the platform team for that. In platform team, it constituted by variety of skill sets from DevOps engineers to SREs to the architects or the people who understand infrastructure inside out, but more importantly, able to measure the performance of your platform, drive the adoption, and also changing the culture and making it sure that your developers get the best out of your infrastructure. And I think that's where the system administrator can be pretty valuable for that. So talk to your platform engineering leaders, or if you don't have, be the catalyst to build a platform engineering. There is a wealth of information available to read more about the platform engineering for that. And
Absolutely. And it's a very common path, I'll tell you. Very common to go from sysadmin to platform engineer.
yes, okay. Second question is from John, that the raw platform initiative budget numbers are interesting, but it seems what percentage of overall IT spend for some other larger construct represent the penetration better than just total cost spent on it? Is there a mature threshold for percentage or dollar value? That's a hard question to answer because how people perceive their platform engineering budget can be different, but it should not include your DevOps tool. It should not use your Kubernetes platform. It should not include your infrastructure platform or the security tools which you need. It should be just purely that how the company is spending time to build a IDP as a platform, as well as making it sure that it is managed as a product management, making it all the measurement mechanisms are there to drive the return on the investment into that. So it is mostly the human or cost associated with that rather than tools and infrastructure. And this varies from company to company, that depending on which company size you have. So, some platform teams are pretty large in companies like Google and Metas and other things, and there's some of the platform teams are pretty small into that. And where the most of the focus for platform team right now is more on the Kubernetes based clusters, and typical, which we know from research, that a average organization have 20 clusters right now for Kubernetes. So how big the platform engineering team or investment you require? So those numbers could be misleading for that because they vary substantially on the organization side. What is the how many applications you develop, how mature the organization you are, and what best practices you already have built into place. So budget is not the only metric, but the true metric is that how many developers are really using your platform, how you are measuring it, how you can justify the return on investment. Sam, anything else you would like to add to it?
No, I think you captured it absolutely perfectly.
Okay. So as you learn from Sam research is that most of the customers use more than one platform to build or offer IDP to their developers. One of the platform or one of the most suitable platform is the VMware Cloud Foundation. I believe many of you are already using for the VMs already. So VCF is the great platform to become your IDP platform because it integrates all the infrastructure needed for that, whether it's a compute or storage or networking and automation and operations. But more importantly, it becomes a single platform for any variety of the workloads which you have, whether it's a containers or VMs on private AI. So if your expertise, your area, or you are working on any one of them, you can still use the VCF to offer all three different kind of applications on top of it. So that's a huge benefit to use a single platform for any type of applications for that. You may start with Kubernetes, or if you are already using for VMs, you can go back to your management and say how you can evolve into a platform for your developers for that, bring the more efficiencies, more agility for your developers for that. And it already have a many functionalities which IDP really requires a very strong security posture. Much more importantly is that having a self-service portal for developers. That's where most of the platform engineering projects start and then expand to the measurement, they expand to the governance, they expand into the security, they expand into observability. So it has all those built-in capabilities for that. So your starting point may be different from one organization to another, but it expands to all three applications types for that. Next slide. We have seen that the current momentum for platform engineering is mostly for the Kubernetes applications. Our own data has shown that most of the platform teams are using 60% more than their platform for Kubernetes-based application. Less than 30% are using for the VM-based applications, but there is a huge opportunity to bring the VMs and containers and private AI applications into the same platform for that. But if you are considering VCF for the Kubernetes-based applications for you to build that IDP, it has multiple benefits or capabilities to be the right platform for that. First of all, as a Kubernetes engineer, you care about the CNCF certified Kubernetes. So we offer the CNCF certified Kubernetes. The velocity of bringing the new Kubernetes certified or CNCF certified conformant versions is around 2 months, which is almost at par with the hyperscalers for that. Second thing is we offer the longest standard support for any Kubernetes release versions for that. We offer 24 months. CNCF offers 14 months of that. So we extend for 1 more year almost for that or 10 months without any additional cost for that, which is a very, very huge differentiator for that and gives you peace of mind that as you build your application, you're not in rush to develop the applications in the newer versions or expand expense additional cost associated with that. As this is an IDP platform or a foundation for IDP platform, it integrates with a variety of platform engineering tools, starting from CI/CD to the conformant Kubernetes version, the CNI, you name variety of that. So it has a very strong integration with the PE tools for that. As many of you have more than one cluster, so multi-cluster lifecycle management becomes a huge part. So VCF has been leading a lot of work on the multi-cluster lifecycle management, and this is all included into the VCF platform. You need not to pay any additional licenses for multi-cluster lifecycle management like some of the other platform you have to pay for it. And more important part over here is that all these capabilities for Kubernetes is built into that VCF platform already. You need not to pay anything extra. You are already entitled to build or use the Kubernetes capabilities of the VCF platform for that. So there is no more additional licenses. You already have these capabilities built into your environment. Most probably you are already using for the VM. You can just start enabling the Kubernetes capabilities for your software developers. Next slide. Okay. This is just a little bit of eye chart. It shows the breadth and the depth of the how deep integration VCF has for the Kubernetes-based applications. Today, we focus more on the Kubernetes side because many of you live and breathe the VCF for the VM side, but we want to show you that how expansive and detailed integration VCF has with the Kubernetes ecosystem. And this Kubernetes ecosystem also expands to your private AI applications, whether running the private AI or AI into your NVIDIA environment or Intel environments or AMD. So we have a very deep integration for that. So read more about it and we can share more details if there is a need for that. Next slide. So for platform engineering, one more thing I would like to recommend that if you want to look at more about where the maturity cycle for the platform engineering, the CNCF has published a great document about the maturity cycle for platform engineering that will show you the variety of parameters to assess your organization's maturity of your platform engineering teams for that. And Broadcom has been working very closely with the CNCF. Actually, we have been contributing very heavily on the Kubernetes side of that. We are the one of the top 5 contributors in Kubernetes communities for last 5 years, and we continue to invest. And many of the major Kubernetes projects have actually originated in the VMware. Some of the biggest one you might have heard, the Harbor and Contour. Harbor is pretty huge on the private AI initiative for that. And we support variety of initiative. We continue to invest more and more. We have published variety of the blocks, what we are doing on cluster API at CNCF, what we are doing in the multi cluster environments for that. And there are variety of activities which we are doing in the CNCF. So keep a watch on CNCF, our blogs or our the contributions to various CNCF projects for that. There is a very detailed blog which we have published. If there is an interest, put it the question over here and we can send you that link about what is our contribution and what is our strategy for CNCF for that. Next slide. Okay. So if you want to learn more about this State of Platform Engineering report from 2025, which was just published in December, this is the link. And if you forget the link, you can still search, go to the Broadcom site, you will find it, or you can even go to the platformengineering.org and you can find that report for that. So let's take a few more questions. Sam, we have a question from John. Is there a healthy target for percentage of developers supported or percentage of the platform engineers?
Yes, I mean, to give an answer to that, I think there's an important caveat. What you want to say when thinking about the platform engineer versus developer ratio, it should be platform engineer versus like actually well-served developer ratio. Because of course, you'll see sometimes, and we did ask about this in the survey, but it ended up not being relevant to report because you had some very immature organizations who are like, oh, well, there's 6 of us platform engineers and we have 2,000 developers. We don't actually serve those full 2,000 and we really struggle to. So what we see is, really successful organizations can get from around one platform engineer per 20 developers, or one platform, even up to one developer per 40 developers. Because once you kind of hit that point, the key is really the scale element. It's a multiplier element. You think about how many customers are using a SaaS product that you run. As soon as you get away from that kind of individual ticket ops based thing, I'm in operations, the developer sends a ticket over, I have to look at the ticket myself, I have to figure out what they want, maybe I have to message them on Teams for more context and back and forth. That's not scalable at all. The platform engineering process is that whole system is kind of streamlined and automated. And once you get there, I mean, we've seen as high as one platform engineer per 60 developers. So we've seen some really kind of successful ranges there. But I would think rather than focusing on that ratio, I would think about the number of developers you can effectively serve. And are you effectively serving them? Because if you can effectively serve 30 developers without ever needing to message back and forth with them in a fully automated way, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to support 100 or 200 or 500 or even 1,000.
Yeah, this is great, guys. Thank you very, very much. We're coming up to our end of our time, but I've got a couple of final questions for you both, just that are common. We're commonly seeing come into chat and Q&A. First one for you, Sam. You've done this study for many years now. I think this is the fourth year.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what would you say the differences are between 2024 and 2025? What was the deltas between the 2 years in the report?
I mean, I would say, so we touched on the maturity point. So overall, everything has gotten mature, everything has got more advanced, sure. And then those big changes on the way that platform product management is approached, the way that specialized platforms is approached. I touched on those, but I think the really fundamental difference is AI, the AI narrative. I think we've done a good job of not really mentioning AI too much through this. So, some claps for us. It's hard to not let every topic get taken over by AI, but that is really the big change. When I asked about AI usage in 2023, it was marginal. it was like 25% said, yeah, I kind of use it, but mostly to write emails. 75 were like, oh, it's a fad, doesn't matter. 2024, that number went up. It was now about 45% of people were like, yeah, I use it to write my emails, whatever. As you can imagine, everything has changed. So much so that we had to do an entire 60-page report just on AI and platform engineering and its intersection.
Mm.
So what used to be literally maybe 2 paragraphs of the report, and was a 2 paragraphs we even debated whether it was worth including in previous years, is now its own 60-page report. So I think that is really the most fundamental difference. And I would recommend anyone who's interested in AI, the platform engineering and AI intersection is really, really, really interesting and is also really fundamental for understanding a lot of the work we're all going to be doing over the next few years. So I would recommend going and taking a look at that and reading some of that stuff.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Well, last question for you, Pankaj. For the vSphere administrators who are listening in here, I've been one myself for many years. What's some of the key takeaways you'd like to leave those vSphere admins that are listening in?
I think there are three biggest opportunities for vSphere or VCF admins. First is start learning about the platform engineering momentum, what it is, and how you can play a very strong role inside your organization. So learn about platform engineering with your solid background in as a VI admin, you will immediately see the connection and the value which you can get. So that's first. Second one is be the part of platform engineering. The today platform engineering teams are mostly built by DevOps team, the SREs, but they need a lot of skill set from the infrastructure side. That's not their strength right now in many of the platform team. You bring a tremendous value for that. So that will be the second one. And the third one, be the catalyst of change inside your organization, driving the platform engineering to the next level if they already have, or if your organization do not have a platform engineering, be the advocate for that. It will help you to enhance your career. It will help you to learn more things and contribute significantly inside your organization for that. And all advanced organization or IT organizations are investing very heavily in the platform engineering. Once you search on the Google, you will see how big the platform engineering is. So if you're not already involved, this is the right time to get involved in platform engineering. And there are a variety of resources and knowledge available for you to start contributing and be the part of platform engineering. And last one is that think through that how VCF, what you are using today, or vSphere, or the components of VCF, how it can be built to offer or become a internal development platform for your developers and increase the efficiency. So you are at right place, you have right skills, and you can really, you have to learn just a little bit more about platform engineering, and you can make a tremendous impact inside your organization. Your starting point need not to be Kubernetes. You can start with VM-based applications, or you can start with Kubernetes, or you can expand to the private AI. You can just pick one of the use case or application or minimum viable project or viable product initiative inside the organization to be the catalyst for change.
Okay. All right. No, thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Sam. I think we're at time. This recording will be available, and everybody will get an email to access the recording. Click on the link, look at the QR code. I think it's a must read for platform engineering. So thank you. Thank you to both, and thank you to our audience. And be well, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.